Hello and welcome to Firstpost Live, where we bring you the day's top 4 stories from across the world. I am Joshua Barnes, live from the Firstpost studios. Let's begin with the headlines. China urges the United States to earnestly abide by the global nuclear test ban after President Donald Trump announced Washington will resume testing immediately, raising fears of a renewed arms race. US President Donald Trump also says he has had a very nice conversation with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney during a dinner in South Korea, even as tensions flare between the two neighbours over trade. Nepal's interim Prime Minister Sushila Karki meets political and youth leaders for the first time since last month's anti-corruption protests that toppled the previous government, calling it a step towards rebuilding trust. Germany's foreign minister will make his first visit to Syria to meet the country's new leadership, including President Ahmed al-Sharaa, after the fall of Bashar al-Assad, hailing it as a new era for the Syrian people. And French police arrest 5 more people, including the main suspect in connection with the daring $102 million Louvre Museum heist, though none of the stolen pieces have been recovered. We begin with the latest on US-China relations. In South Korea today, US President Donald Trump met his Chinese president counterpart Xi Jinping for the first time in 6 years. The two leaders met on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit for around 100 minutes. Trump called the meeting a great success. He praised Xi Jinping as a tremendous leader of a very powerful country and said he would visit China in April.
Thank you all. It was a great success. It was a great honor. I mean, he's a tremendous leader of a very powerful country, and I give great respect to him, and we appreciate the fact that he came for this meeting.
Trump announced a series of agreements aimed at cooling economic friction between the world's 2 largest economies. Trump also said the US will reduce fentanyl-related tariffs on China.
As you know, I put a 20% tariff on China because of the fentanyl coming in, which is it's a big tariff. And based on his statements today, I reduced it by 10%, so it's 10% instead of 20%, effective immediately.
And the two sides also agreed to keep rare earth supplies flowing, materials vital for technology and defense industries. The agreement announced by the US includes a 1-year agreement on rare earth trade with China. Beijing had recently tightened controls over these critical minerals, triggering global supply concerns. But post the Xi-Trump talks, China announced it will suspend those curbs for a year. Additionally, Trump announced that China will purchase tremendous amounts of American soybeans and other farm products. Chinese leader Xi Jinping, too, struck a cooperative tone. He said both Beijing and Washington had reached a consensus on resolving major trade issues. Let's listen in.
Given our different national conditions.
The economic and trade teams of the two countries exchanged in-depth views on important economic and trade issues and reached a consensus on resolving them. Both teams should refine and finalize follow-up work as soon as possible, maintain and implement the consensus, and provide tangible results to set minds at ease about the economies of China, the United States, and the world.
Beyond just trade, the two leaders discussed global security. Trump said both sides agreed to work together on ending the war in Ukraine. Notably, the issue of the self-ruled island of Taiwan, which China claims as its own, did not feature in Trump-Xi talks. Trump is suggesting these talks are proof that Washington and Beijing can still do business. The world is watching to see whether this so-called success translates into real geo-economic stability. Now let's talk about a company that has done what no other in history has ever done. Nvidia has just become the world's first $5 trillion company. For context, that's more than some of the world's top economies. This is a company that was once known for gaming chips. Today, it builds the hardware that powers artificial intelligence, from ChatGPT to self-driving cars and to the massive data centers that make AI work. Just 3 months ago, Nvidia crossed the $4 trillion mark. 13 months ago, before that, it was at $3 trillion. The company has been adding trillions in value at record speeds. The company's shares rose 3% after the market opened on Wednesday. This year alone, the stock has gained around 50%. And in the past 6 months, the company's shares have soared approximately 90%. To put it simply, Nvidia is now worth more than both Microsoft and Apple. It was only 7 years ago that Apple became the first trillion-dollar company. Today, there are $10 trillion companies in the world, proof that the AI boom is reshaping the global economy. Nvidia's CEO, Jensen Huang, has been at the center of it all. This week, he laid out an ambitious vision to put Nvidia chips in robotic factories, cell towers, and even self-driving cars.
Remember, AI doesn't care where it goes to school. And so we can put AI behind the grid, behind the meter. And so we ought to generate power as much as we can. We ought to use sustainable power as much as we can. We're going to use power of all kinds, whatever's available. It doesn't have to be on the grid. It's also the case that putting these factories on the grid, sharing the grid, will be helpful to the grid long term. And so, because these power generators are going to generate an enormous amount of power, we can rent it back into the grid when the grid needs it.
The company is expecting $500 billion in AI chip orders and plans to build 7 new supercomputers for the United States government. It's also investing $1 billion in Nokia to help build next-generation 6G networks.
In the networking side, ultimately bring AI-powered wireless networks to 5G and in the future, 6G. Both stocks are up nicely today. The market likes the idea that both these companies will be able to diversify their product mix.
Adding to the momentum, there's growing hope that talks between US President Donald Trump and China's Xi Jinping could open Chinese markets to Nvidia's high-end AI chips. And Nvidia isn't just making chips, it's spending big as well. It's investing $100 billion in OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, and another $5 billion in Intel. But here's where things get interesting. So far, there has been a lack of clarity around the return on AI investments. This, paired with a circular spending spree and the industry's eye-popping growth rates, have raised concerns that the AI market may be a bubble waiting to burst. Still, Nvidia insists that it is just the beginning. The company believes that by the end of this decade, global spending on AI infrastructure could reach $4 trillion. In the most recent quarter, the company raked in nearly $26 billion in net income. Earlier in the month, the International Monetary Fund and the Bank of England became the latest financial institutions to warn that global stock markets could be in trouble if investor appetite for AI turns sour. As of now, Nvidia has broken a record. But the real story is not where Nvidia stands today, it's where it's heading next. Can it keep powering the AI revolution without burning out? Or will the race for artificial intelligence create new giants that challenge it? For now, one thing is clear. The world is running on AI, and AI is running on Nvidia. Shifting focus now to Russia. The country tested a second nuclear-capable system this week, just days after Donald Trump criticized Moscow's earlier missile test. President Vladimir Putin confirmed the latest launch as Ukraine peace talks remain stalled. Putin said Moscow had tested the Poseidon underwater nuclear-powered drone on Tuesday. It's like a very large torpedo that can travel deep under the ocean for thousands of kilometers without being detected. Putin described Poseidon as an unmanned underwater weapon powered by a nuclear reactor and capable of long-range travel. He said Russia launched it from a submarine and successfully activated its nuclear power unit during the test. Putin said there is no way to intercept the system and that there is nothing like this.
For the first time, we managed not only to launch it from its carrier submarine using the booster engine, but also to activate its nuclear power unit, allowing the vehicle to operate for a certain period of time. This is a huge success.
Now, analysts say it could travel up to 10,000 kilometers, has a speed of 185 kilometers per hour, and can operate more than 1 kilometer deep. Arms experts said it could carry a warhead of up to 2 megatons. The system is believed to use a liquid metal-cooled nuclear reactor, which allows the engine to stay small but extremely powerful, and operate longer underwater than traditional systems. Analysts have said it could trigger radioactive ocean waves that can cause massive coastal destruction. Putin said Poseidon's power exceeded Russia's Sarmat intercontinental missile, and added that torpedo can reach any continent in the world.
It is 100 times smaller than the nuclear reactor on a submarine, yet the power output of Poseidon significantly exceeds that of even our most advanced intercontinental range missile, Sarmat. There is nothing like Sarmat in the world. We have not deployed it yet, but it will be deployed soon. However, Poseidon significantly surpasses Sarmat in power. In terms of speed and operating depth, there is nothing like this unmanned vehicle anywhere in the world. It's unlikely that anything similar will appear in the near future. And there is no way to intercept it.
He presented the weapon as part of a new nuclear arms race between Russia, the United States and China. Russia first announced Poseidon and the Burevestnik missile in 2018, calling them a response to US missile defense systems and NATO expansion. Days earlier, Russia also tested the Burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile, which Putin said had unlimited range. Trump had said Putin ought to get the war ended in Ukraine instead of testing missiles, and said the launch was not appropriate. Now, Putin has said Russia would not bow to Western pressure. The Super Torpedoes test is just testament of that statement. And let's shift focus now to the turmoil in the East African nation of Tanzania, where protests erupted against President Samia Suluhu Hassan on voting day. Now, as the vote count is underway, police have imposed an evening curfew in the country's biggest city. This as hundreds of protesters hit the streets in Dar es Salaam and clashed with police. The police fired tear gas to disperse crowds, and in response, the protesters pelted stones. Demonstrators torched a police station and tore down posters of the Tanzanian president to protest an election without opposition. Protesters chanted, "We want our country back," while demonstrating against Hassan. Internet watchdog NetBlocks also reported nationwide connectivity disruption as citizens cast their votes. This was also corroborated with other reports of a digital blackout in the country amid a lower voter turnout. The Human Rights Watch said that Tanzanian authorities have suppressed the political opposition and critics of the ruling party. The group also accused the government of suppressing the media and failing to ensure the independence of the Electoral Commission.
The ruling party and its government have described as an election, but a majority of Tanzanians do not see it as such. They see it as a performance staged to create an illusion of democratic process, which in fact is not the case. It is actually Samia against Suluhu.
These disruptions on voting day occurred despite Hassan's promise to ensure security. Addressing an election rally, Hassan said that the authorities were well prepared to hold the polls. She also warned the opposition, whose candidates failed to contest, against disturbing the election.
Let us participate in the election without any fear, because the security and defense forces of Tanzania are ready and are working to ensure the safety of the country and its citizens before, during, and even after the election.
Hassan was elevated from the vice president's office in 2021 after the death of her iron-fisted predecessor, John Magufuli. The 65-year-old is slated to secure her maiden presidential election win. What's worth noting is that all of Hassan's rivals are either jailed or disqualified. Her main challenger, Tundu Lissu, is on trial for treason. While Lissu potentially faces the death penalty, his party, Chadema, is barred from running. Another serious contender, Luhaga Mapina, is also disqualified.
Many of us who are in the opposition politics, especially the leadership of Chadema, have almost all gone into hiding. So that is the current status as we speak. So you could actually see what sort of election, so-called election you are having. Someone trying to entrench her authoritarianism by trying to intimidate people, by trying to crack down on those who are, or to crack down on the dissenting voices.
And it is not just the opposition that fears the government's crackdown. There are fears that even members of the ruling party are being targeted. Despite reports of repression, the country's first female leader, Hassan, is almost certain to retain her chair in the presidential office. The final seal to her victory can only come after the vote count is completed. We will keep tracking this story for you. That's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thank you for watching.